Alright, so we're going to talk about the greatest common factor in dealing with polynomials. So in other words, what we need to factor out of these to simplify them, shall we say, okay? So with this, when you're given a problem like x squared y cubed plus x cubed y, and we're just trying to look at what we can factor out of this problem here. Now the trick with this is, when you have these with exponents, when you just have these variables with exponents, just the lowest exponent is one you can normally factor out pretty easily. So in this case, on the x's, we have an x squared and an x cubed. Well, I'm pretty sure we can take out an x squared. Okay.
Be quiet.
Alright, and dealing with a y cubed and just a y to the first power, I know for sure I can only take out a y to the first power. Because if I took out a y cubed, I could take out this first part of x squared y cubed, but I could not take it out of the second part. Notice what I'm saying here is then take x squared out of this and a y, I would need to have y squared. Because remember, exponents, when you multiply them, add together. So x squared times y squared would give me just x squared y squared, but then this y would make it y times y squared is, so 1 plus 2 would give me 3. Now I'm going to add here, now I can take out an x squared there. So I know I would need to multiply it by an x, the first part, the x cubed. And well, I already have a y connected with that x squared, and multiply in, that would give me that. So again, when you look at this, if you multiply this again, it makes sense. So I would take this times y squared, I would get x squared, and then I would get y to the first power times y to the second power. And then I would add to, if I would take x squared times x, I would get x squared times x to the first power times y. Well, this is simplified down to x squared, and then I would take y, 1 plus 2, which would give me x squared y cubed, and then that would give me, I would have x 2 plus 1 and just a y, so that would give me x cubed y. So I just wanted to check to make sure I had the right answer overall, and I did. So again, to factor this guy out, the factor is simply x squared. Y is what I can factor out of this polynomial here. I'll be left with y squared plus x in parentheses. Alright, let's do another example. So with this one I have x to the 5th, y to the 4th z plus x to the 7th, y squared z cubed. Well, on the x's, the lowest exponent is x to the 5th power. So I know I can take x to the 5th out for sure. On the y's, I have a squared is the lowest, so I can take a y squared out. And on the z's, z to the first power. There's a 1 understood right there, so I can take just a z out. I can write this 5 here. It's going to be a little confused with how I wrote that. Okay. So now, we're going to multiply this by to get what we started with. Well, x to the 5th power, we already have that. So we'll get that again. Y squared, to get a y to the 4th, we need to multiply by y squared. And to get a z, we already have a z. Okay, so we're good on that. x to the 7th. Well, we only have x to the 5th. So we need to take x squared, because 5 plus 2 would give me 7. Y squared, well, I already have a y squared that we factored out. So to multiply that by that, I already get y squared. And a z cubed. Well, I have a z to the first power. So I need to multiply by z squared. Because 2 plus 1 would give me 3. And that should be our answer. And again, you can check this by multiplying back through. It's where you would get, if you multiply this through, you would get x to the 5th y squared times y squared times a z plus you would get x to the 5th times x squared times y squared times z squared. Oh, it looks like a bunch of 2's. Let me rewrite that, make that a little more legible. Again, we'd have z the first times z squared. So this would give us x to the 5th, and then have y squared times y squared. We'll only add those 2's together, so we have y to the 4th. And then we just have a z. And then over here we'd have x to the 5th times x squared, so that's 5 plus 2 would give me 7, so x to the 7th. Y squared is all we got over there. And we have a z 1, or z to the first power times z squared, so 1 plus 2 would give me a 3. And as you can see, I came up with the same exact problem we started with. So therefore, I know that that definitely is the proper factor out of there. Okay. Let's do another one. So now if we put some numbers in here, okay? So if we look at this, again, you want to take the smallest number, which would be the greatest common factor, right? The smallest value that you can take out of there. Well, 4 can go into number 4, and 4 can go to the number 8, right? So we know for sure we can take out the number 4. Then we just got to look at our variables here. So we have x to the 6th, x to the 3rd. Well, as I said, you can take the lowest exponent out. So we can take x to the 3rd out. And y squared and y cubed, well, y squareds are lowest, so y squared. And if we're going to multiply that back in, we can multiply that back in, and we would simply take this and say, well, 4 times 1 will give me 4, so we just don't have to say that, so understood 1. And then x cubed times x to the what gives me 6. Well, you can add them together, so 6 minus 3 is 3, so we can say x to the 3rd, and then we have y squared, which we already have here that we factored out. So we're good on that. We have plus here, and we got to get 8. So 4 times what gives me 8? Or you can say 8 divided by 4 is 2. To get our x cubed, well, we already factored out x cubed. And then a y cubed. So we have y squared. So if we needed to get that, 3 minus 2 gives me y to the first power. So this is a y. And with that, that gives us our overall factor out. And that's our overall greatest common factor of the polynomial right there. Alright, let's do one more. So, if we got 14x cubed y z cubed minus 12x to the 4th y to the 5th z squared. So with this, what is the greatest common factor we can take out of these numbers here? Well, let's see here. We can take a 2 can go into there, 2 can go into 14, that would go 7, and 2 can go into 12, that would go 6. And I believe that 2 is all we can take out of there because we're definitely going to end up with a prime number with a 7. We can't really do too much with that. So let's do number 2. So we'll take a 2 out of there. And now we have x squared, x to the 4th, so we'll take an x squared out. The y to the 1 and y to the 5th, so we'll take a y. And a z cubed and a z squared. Well, we'll take a z squared out. Now, the only thing we need to worry about too is something to really worry about and make sure you realize is you have a negative value here, so don't get stuck on just using positives, okay? Gotta think about this one. So 2 goes into 14 how many times? Well, we got 7, right? Because 2 times 7 will give us 14. We already have an x squared. We already have a y. We just need a z cubed. Well, we have an understood 1 on that z. So 3 minus 1 will give me a 2. So we have a z squared. Now, how many times will 2 go into negative 12? Well, 2 times a negative 6 will give us a negative 12. So 2 times negative 6. And we have x squared already. We need to get x to the 4th. So 4 minus 2 is x squared. And then we've got to get a y to the 5th. But we already have a y with an understood 1. So y to the 5 minus 1, which is 4. And then we have a z squared we need to get to. Well, 2 minus 1 is a 1. So we should have z, and just the first power there, which should be understood for that. And that is going to be our overall greatest common factor that we can take away from this polynomial right there. So again, don't let the big exponents and the x, y, and z's or whatever variables they use throw you off, or the numbers. Again, just think about what you can take away from each one of those values in the polynomial. Alright guys, so I hope that explained a little bit something to you, and I'll see you next time.